I just want to talk about how I deal with weeds in the garden. It's only inevitable. You can't win the race. You can only work with nature and just deal with it as best as you can. So, rain last night, did a heavy, deep weeding. So I don't do any weeding up to this point. So it's mid-May. The weeds have been growing since March. As soon as it gets a little warmer out, the sun hits it, and you're going to see that first pop-up of the seeds. And I'm fine with that. So I let it go. I don't do anything with it unless I'm putting something in a bed. But nothing was going into these beds, so I let them go. And I'm okay with weeds. They do grow root systems. They do break up the soil. They go up to a point that I'm tolerant of it. And I just don't want to keep pulling more weeds, because the more weeds I pull, the more dirt that is exposed to sunlight, and you're just going to get another round of seeds that pop up. So I just let it go. They break up the soil. They put shadows on everything else, that more seeds don't pop up. So, but it's up to a point that I'm allowing that to go. So I don't want it to be a mature size where then the weed produces seeds and then you're just back into trouble. So I let them go up to a point of kind of young transplants, and then I'm pulling them. So I tend to work with weeds from the beginning of the mid-May and then pretty much until end of June. Mid-May is when I pull up everything, so that's how everything you see. And that's also when I start transplanting everything, because I know this is not the last round. But I want to give my young transplants the best chance to survive the weed pressure as I can. So in this case, everything was removed down to the roots. You dig up whatever you can. I put in my transplant, and now it's a race to make sure that this root system becomes more developed than a weed system, so it gives it the best chance to survive. And as these transplants grow, it puts pressure on the weeds that they cannot grow. So they develop stronger root systems, they put more shadows onto this, so the weeds are not in the lead anymore. Now they're trying to play catch up. And eventually you'll see that when you have more mature plants, your weed pressure isn't as strong anymore because your plants won out. So I let it go in the beginning of spring. Mid-spring, I pull everything around mid-May, and then I work with weeds for about a month and a half. And then pretty much once it's up to that point, I really don't have to do anything else because I had my plants win the game. So I do a deep pull of everything. And then for the rest of it, I just use surface weeding. So like a stirrup hoe, I just put everything on, I just comb everything on the top of it, because I don't want to do any sort of deep root weeding, because I don't want to disturb the root system of the new transplants. I want those to grow as strong as possible, but I don't want to give any more chance of any more weeds to develop their own root system. So I just kind of cut off their tops. They may come back, but again, they're losing the game against the transplants, and eventually they'll never win that game if you get a mature plant up there. So pull the plants out to the root, transplant, and then just surface weed the rest of the time and let the plants win the game. And usually once it comes by end of June, everything is really growing by then. I really don't do much weeding or really anything with the garden until I have to pull everything back up.